This is the Daily Night for Thursday, May 9, 2016. The Daily Night supports Making Biscuits Cat Rescue, a 501c3 charity. If you like this podcast, please consider making a donation or adopting a rescue cat at makingbiscuits.org. I'm your host, Gerardo San Diego, and today we'll be talking about Game of Thrones Season 6, Episode 4, entitled Book of the Stranger, a bunch of Star Wars news, and DC and Marvel news. Alright, so, and there's a lot of news. No, it was already kind of busy last week. I just didn't have time to do a podcast, but since Sunday especially, if you watched the Game of Thrones, hopefully you did, because you should not be listening to this. If you like Game of Thrones and you're gonna watch it, this last Sunday's episode, do not listen to this podcast until after you watch it, because not even a second of the show, don't even listen to anything I'm going to say here, because from beginning to end, the last Game of Thrones was phenomenal. And it's going to lead to even bigger and bigger things, and I'll talk about that. So, actually, you know what? This whole episode is spoilers. Excuse me. From beginning to end, well, there's going to be some movie news in the middle, but the Game of Thrones is spoiler. I'm going to break it down scene by scene, and then there's going to be a couple of Star Wars news, Rogue One leaked photos, kind of spoilery. Geoff Johns is the new co-runner for DC Films. Chloe Bennet of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has some not so positive things to say about the Marvel movie universe. I'm going to talk briefly about the last two Flash episodes, the CW's Flash, and I'm going to finish it up with some news that I literally heard a couple hours ago. Somebody mentioned, I heard about it on social networks, kind of didn't pay too much attention to it until I heard more about it on Collider Jedi Council just tonight, Thursday night. So, and super spoilery. This is, hopefully you've seen The Force Awakens already. You know about Han Solo, right? I would say if this becomes true, if this turns out to be true, this is almost as big as the Han Solo thing in The Force Awakens. And this is Episode 8, spoiler. So I'm going to talk about that at the very, very last part of this podcast, just so if you watch Game of Thrones and you just want to hear about stuff that's been people are talking about on the web this week, and you really don't want to hear about the Episode 8, oh God, it's crazy. You can just turn off the podcast before I start talking about that. So that'll be at the end. So hopefully, cross your fingers, I can get through this in about an hour, because it's getting late, and I got to go to bed. All right, so Game of Thrones Season 6, again, spoiler. Game of Thrones Season 6, Episode 4, Book of the Stranger. My friend and I'm going to do a shout out to Jose. Jose watches Game of Thrones also, but he is a much more responsible person than I am, so he actually puts his work in front of watching the Game of Thrones. So he watched the first half last Sunday, and then he got busy with work, and then he watched the second half tonight, and he texted me. And he said, "Oh my God, this is so amazing! This is going to be big." And so we started texting back and forth about Game of Thrones, the latest episode, and it kind of got me excited again, because I was like, end of the day, should I even podcast? But so I'm kind of jazzed right now. So here we go. Game of Thrones, Book of the Stranger, the very first scene. I think Game of Thrones is pretty much, it's their trademark this season, where they're just going to wow you. They're just going to jump right into the story within the first few seconds. They've been doing it since the beginning of the season, it seems like. The very first show of the very first of this season, the very first scene of the very first show was the whole Jon Snow thing that they pretty much reconciled. So I love that. It shows me that the show has confidence in its stories to the point where they don't have to do gimmicks. Like, oh my God, wait until the next episode until we reveal what really happened. It's like, no, we got like 10 things going on. We can show you 3 of them right now, right the F now, and still have 7 that will blow you away. And that literally is this episode. So the very first scene is the Castle Black gates open. And I posted the picture on the podcast as well as on my Facebook page of the 3 Brienne, Podrick, and Sansa on their horses walking into Castle Black. Castle Black's garage doors open, and in comes the 3 of them in the middle of the snow, and they're like, oh my God! Because I remember, if you watch the previous episode, you know that they escaped, and Theon is on his way back to the Iron Islands, right? So, and he basically left Brienne, Sansa, and Podrick near Winterfell. So, and then they had to escape because Ramsay's men are still over there. So, we didn't know where they were going, right? It's like they're not going back to Winterfell. That's still occupied by Ramsay and his men. So where are they going? So it kind of makes logical sense. They kept going up north to the Wall. So they wind up at the gates of Castle Black, and oh my God! And then so I'm thinking, I see the gates open. You got the 3 of them on horses, like freaking. It's just seeing Brienne. Every time I see Brienne, I keep thinking, oh, everything's going to be safe. I don't know why. It's so weird that she's Captain Phasma. Gwendolyn Christie's also Captain Phasma. And it's like the total opposite when you see Captain Phasma doing her thing. But then again, I'm kind of doing a meta crossover thing here. But I think Captain Phasma has a different agenda. I think there's going to be a whole lot more to Captain Phasma than we think who she is. So I think that's the hunch. So you got Brienne coming in, and then the first thing you think is on lesser shows when there's a reunion is about to happen of long lost friends or family or siblings. In this case, it's Sansa and Jon Snow. There's always that stupid delay where, oh my God, Jon Snow's out hunting a boar and then he gets hurt, and then it'll take another 2 episodes before they get to see each other. But no, within what, 2 minutes, 1 minute, they walk in through the gate, and then Jon Snow comes out of one of the buildings, and he sees Sansa, and they walk to each other still in disbelief, and they give the biggest hug, and I think just the whole country was kind of weeping at that moment, and it was amazing. It was like, we've been holding it for like how many, like 2-3 seasons, and the cool part is they actually talk about that in the show after. They bring him in from the cold, and they give him some soup, and you got Sansa eating her soup and talking to Jon Snow, and they talk about like we should never have left each other. Who would have known what would have happened? I mean, keep in mind the last time they saw each other, I think was, let me see, Jon Snow felt bad for everybody calling him a bastard and pretty much kind of disowning him, so he went to join the Night's Watch at Castle Black right up at the Wall. And Sansa went off to go marry, what's his face? Joffrey, right? Remember that? Joffrey? He's been dead for like 2 seasons now. And he was like still a little baby back then. And so was she. And so she's back. And now you got both of them together, and the nice thing is they also, another issue that they reconciled early on is like, will they or won't they join forces or gather people to attack Ramsay at Winterfell. They take their freaking home back, and Ramsay has Rickon, one of the Sansa's brothers. So there's. I was thinking about this earlier in my mind. There's Sansa, Arya, the two Stark girls. You got Rickon, Bran, and Robb. Robb is dead from the Red Wedding, and Jon Snow, the bastard son. So basically, out of the five legitimate Stark kids and Jon Snow, there's only 5 left. And okay, so and Bran is off doing his three-eyed crow thing. He's off doing his wizard Harry Potter lessons with Max von Sydow. So the nice thing about this episode is early on they decide, okay, we're going to get the wildlings. You got Jon Snow. The wildlings like Jon Snow because he treated them like real people. And so you got, I wrote his name down. Let's see, hold on. And dead air. It's not good. Dead air is not good. It's the red bearded guy, one of the wildlings. I wrote it down because they were eating, and nope, can't find his. I can't believe I wrote his name down, and I can't find it right now in my notes. But he's kind of eyeing Brienne, because it's like hey, look at this. It's a real woman, like a woman who's strong enough for me. That's kind of cool. Let's see. I'm still going through my notes. Oh, there's Tormund. Tormund Giantsbane. So he's the main red bearded guy that he's almost gotten killed a couple of times, but Jon Snow decided to spare him. So they're eating, and Tormund decides, or Tormund's eyeing Brienne. Actually, according to my notes, them joining forces happens later in the show, like about 40 minutes in, where Sansa and Jon Snow decide, okay, they're just going to get as many people and go attack Winterfell. But the show went by so fast that it felt like there was no delay. There's so much action going on. Again, I counted how many scenes here? 10 or 11 scenes that they cut to within an hour. That's basically about 5 or 6 minutes a scene. That's insane. That means you get right to the point. Not like I'm doing right now. I'm dawdling. I'm sorry. So, okay. So one of the things I read during the week, where if you hopefully you watch the show, if you look at Jon Snow's vest, he is wearing the same vest that Ned Stark, the young Ned Stark in the Bran flashbacks that they showed, I think it was last episode or the episode before then, where Ned was a younger man, and he's wearing that same vest. And also, Robb Stark wore that same vest when he was fighting, and I think he was actually wearing that vest during the Red Wedding. So it's like the Stark vest. So all of a sudden, Jon Snow is wearing it, and he's not wearing Night Watch clothes anymore. Remember, he died. When you join the Night Watch, the Night's Watch, you serve, you stay there no matter what happens until you die. You stay with the Night's Watch until you die. And guess what? Jon Snow died. So he's back, and since he died, he doesn't have to be with the Night Watch anymore. So he quit, and now he's wearing more like brownish clothes as opposed to all black. So that's just the first scene. The reunitions, the reunion at Castle Black. You know what? Okay, I keep thinking Stannis. Remember Stannis Baratheon, where Brienne says she executed him? Why does one itty bitty part of my mind think that she didn't really execute him? Like she spared him, and he is loyal to her, and because he is absolutely pissed at Ramsay. that he's really alive somewhere, getting a whole bunch of men together, and he's going to appear out of nowhere to help Brienne and the other guys fight Ramsay. I don't know, just me. So I just threw it out there. Let's see. I can't say enough about Sir Davos and Sir Jorah. I think to me, they feel like if you have a chess set, if you've ever seen a chess set, or you know what the pieces are, the two knights, the horse, you get one on each side, and the horse is a very strong chess piece because it goes in an L shape, and it's very powerful if you can use both horses in conjunction as a team. And I keep thinking Sir Davos and Sir Jorah, they're like the two knights, but in different lands right now. And I keep thinking they're gonna get together, and they're both noblemen, and they're both warriors. They're not thinkers like Tyrion, but they have a simple good-heartedness, loyalty to whoever they serve. And I always kind of forget who is who. Sir Jorah is Sir Davos. Sir Davos is the one at Castle Black. Sir Jorah is the one who has a crush on Daenerys. So, all right. So, jump to House Aaron, where Littlefinger has arrived at House Aaron, and you got Robin Aaron, the little boy who was suckling on his mom's breast a few years back. He's now a bigger teenager, and he is the leader of House Aaron. He's got a pretty strong army, and there's that, it's a fairly short scene, but basically what the conclusion of it is, they're going to join forces to go fight Ramsay Bolton, also because Littlefinger also has a crush on Sansa. So he's got to go rescue her and put the beat down using House Aaron's knights, the Knights of Aaron. Arryn. House Aaron. Every time I think about House Aaron, it's just that hole in the ground where you throw people off to fall to their deaths, and that's how Mama Aaron died, and her son doesn't even know that happened. Ugh. All right, so third part is Tyrion at Meereen. Every time Tyrion comes up, I take my pen and I got my piece of paper because he's going to say something worth writing down. So, of course, he does. We make peace with our enemies, not our friends. Great quote. It was requoted by one of the ex-slaves later on. I forgot to look up her name, but yeah, she is paired up with what's his name, Grey Worm, also one of the ex-slaves. So it's kind of cool. Those two are currently the bodyguards as well as the assistants of Tyrion in Meereen, and they kind of look good together. The three of them look good together because one can charm because she's beautiful. One can fight because he's the Unsullied, and one can think, and that's Tyrion. So whenever they're walking together, it's beautiful, and then their dialogue is beautiful. Where's another one? Slavery is a horror that should be ended at once. War is a horror that should be ended at once. I can't do both today, Tyrion. And just that dialogue, it was so rich because you went from the first scene was Castle Black, a whole bunch of emotion, and then House Aaron, and it kind of made you want to take a shower because there's a whole bunch of creepiness going on there. And then there's Meereen, where you have Tyrion using his brain to try to figure out what the hell to do next. So you have emotion, creepiness, and then like knowledge, sensibility. What do you call it? The sanity, and logic. So the cool part is Tyrion is now making friends with their enemies and striking up deals on how the slavers that's Slavers Bay need to get rid of all their slaves, but they could take their time over a 7-year period, and during that time they will be compensated with money for the losses of their slaves. Very smart. Tyrion is very smart. So I suggest watch. If hopefully you've watched that scene. Talking about Tyrion scenes never does it justice. You just got to go watch him, and it's like he's amazing. Who knows what his final place is when all is said and done? Because it looks like it's going to be Daenerys and Jon Snow, but who knows where Tyrion's going to wind up? So, okay, now cut to Ser Jorah and Daario. Daario is the hunky guy, the hunky young guy, who Daenerys thinks is pretty, and Ser Jorah is the older guy who has a crush on Daenerys, and they both got to travel together to go rescue Daenerys. Daenerys, the mother of dragons, little blonde girl who can kick your ass. So I love this quote. If I win, I'm the shit who killed an old man, and if I lose, I'm the shit who was killed by an old man. That was Daario. So basically, it's kind of an insurance policy of them not fighting each other because it's not worth it, even though they absolutely hate each other. And keep in mind, Daario has, to put it bluntly, has had sex with Daenerys, and Ser Jorah hasn't. So there you go. And Ser Jorah is turning into the Thing, Ben Grimm, with his stone arm. It's going to turn him totally into stone. Oh, there's another thing I was thinking about is if he turns totally into stone, can he still move around and kick ass? Because I think so, right? Because the guys who attacked him, the stone guys who attacked him a few shows back, they were moving around like it was fine. I don't know, but does it kill them like zombies? Inevitably, does it take its toll and they'll just die from the disease, the stone disease, whatever that is? So Ser Jorah and Daario, and so they come up with a plan on how to rescue Daenerys, and of course it's gonna happen in a few scenes later. They have to wait until night to do that stuff. Okay, so the next scene is the shame lady. I'm not even gonna look up her name because to me and to Kevin Smith and to everybody else, and yeah, blame Kevin Smith because he's the one first time I heard shame lady is Kevin Smith. She comes in and takes Marjorie Tyrell and to talk to the High Sparrow. She comes into the dungeon prison where Marjorie Tyrell's being held, and she's all dirty and the usual prison look. And the shame lady takes Marjorie to see her brother. What's his name? Loras, Iron Fist. Loras, who is Finn Jones, who's going to be the Iron Fist in the Netflix series Iron Fist coming up. And I keep thinking I saw that scene and he's all covered up and he's all puffy and bloated because his face got beaten up. And I keep thinking, did they do that because he's working out for Iron Fist? He's probably big and bulky now, and they kind of want to hide it. So they got to bruise him up and make him look puffy, because if you saw him totally clean and not covered in all these rags and not dirty, you'd see how freaking buff he got in prison. I was like, you don't do that. You don't do that in the High Sparrow prison. They barely feed you, so it's not like you're going to get big in there. So that's why I keep thinking, it's like, man, I was looking for deltoids and the definition under the rags, and it's like, I think looks like he's got back muscle, but I don't know, maybe. But yeah, I wonder, maybe we'll see him later on, and he's all buff, and we're just not gonna talk about it, So yeah, I can't wait for that. By the way, another tangent is the Iron Fist Netflix series because they're filming right now, so he's training and they're filming, so he's already buff. So that is Marjorie's brother Loras. They are both Tyrells, and something I noticed. I pretty much noticed it early on too, but it got reinforced. Is Marjorie is the strong one in this scene, and Loris is the weak one, right? Loris wants to give up. Loris basically wants to die, and Marjorie tells him, "No, you have to stay strong. You have to stay alive. You're not gonna. You're not. You can't let them win." And the cool part is her grandmother. She's basically the leader, the actual leader of the Terrell family, Diana Rigg, and she's the one calling the shots. And you've seen her husband before during what's his name, Joffrey and Sansa's wedding, and you met grandmother's husband, the actual king, and he was kind of like, he's not the one wearing the pants in the family. So it's the grandmother Terrell is wearing the pants in the family. So it seems like the Terrell family, they're run by women. The leaders of the Terrell family are women, which is kind of a good twist. So Marjorie, if you see her eyes, man, she's like pissed. She's just biding her time, as they say, just waiting to get the opportunity, and she's gonna unleash, which is fun. Ooh, a big fight between Cersei and Marjorie. There you go. That's another big fight to wait for in the future. So hopefully it happens. Another thing I noticed, you got the two featured religions right now. Besides the Dothraki, they're like more paganism, but the High Sparrow and the God of Many Faces, which they weren't shown in this episode. So, but the High Sparrow, it feels like the High Sparrow is more like Christianity, for whatever secular thing you're thinking about. But to me, the High Sparrow feels more like, because you have to do penance for your sins and you have to atone for what you did wrong, and that's closer to like Christianity, Catholicism methods. Whereas the God of Many Faces, you're supposed to get rid of yourself, get rid of your ego. You're not supposed to be any specific person. You have to practice being nobody, right? The no name, and that feels more like kind of Hinduism, Buddhism. More actually, I've read a lot about Buddhism, and as far as I can tell, it's a lot like Buddhism. So you have these two ideologies on opposite ends of Westeros, and I wonder if they're going to clash in the future, which is kind of an interesting thing. So you're going to have this clash of actual physical clash, you have the psychological clash, and then you have the ideological clash that may or may not happen. It's still fascinating. And then, keep in mind, Arya is with the house of the God of Many Faces, and so she's going to bring back that training when she meets up with her siblings, and her siblings are going to have a little bit of the High Sparrow knowledge. So it gets interesting. It's amazing how complex this TV show is, but how it feels like they're not wasting anything. Everything has a purpose. I mean, down to Jon Snow's vest. Everything has a purpose. I'm going to jump to thinking about all the different armies that are going to take on Jon Snow, Ramsay Bolton. And so, he's got like 5,000 men in Winterfell. You got 2,000 wildlings. You have who knows how many House of Aaron, the Knights of Aaron, that they're going to come in, try to destroy Ramsay. You have the Red Witch, Melisandre, and her powers, and who else? I wonder if, but I don't know. Daenerys is still far away, so, but we'll get to her soon. Okay, so the High Sparrow. Cersei talks to Tommen. Cersei's kind of taking a back seat lately. We're kind of paying attention more to the other people lately, as opposed to Cersei and Jaime and the whole Lannister. The what do you call it? The the incestuous family, the incestuous rich family built on gold. So it's kind of quiet, but there's this little meeting with Cersei and what's her name? The grandmother. Her name's Olenna Tyrell. Diana Rigg's character name is Olenna Tyrell, who is the grandmother of Marjorie Tyrell. So it looks like they have no choice. Cersei and Olenna have no choice but to work together in order to defeat the High Sparrow. Because the High Sparrow's got his bodyguards with their weapons and stuff, right? And they got to go get, what's his name? Where's the brother? Or the cousin? Marjorie. I didn't write it down. No, not Loris. But, one of the Tyrells is converted to High Sparrowism. So they got to get him back. He's got the burnt coin circle thing on his forehead. So they got to get him back. So you have basically these past few episodes are building up to this big fight or fights or battles, mega wars that are going to happen soon, hopefully. Everybody loves Game of Thrones. I have a feeling they have a much bigger budget than they did when they did the Battle at Blackwater. So we're going to actually see some fireworks this time. All right, so next scene, Theon comes back to the Iron Islands, and his sister, Yara, she wants to be the leader of the Iron Islands, and I think we all want her to be the leader because she is actually strong and takes charge and isn't a little, wussy. And the cool part is the scene wasn't that long, but became an understanding with Theon and Yara, where Theon says, "I will support you, and you are the leader, my sister. I'm just here to support you." And it was kind of a nice moment. Hopefully, we don't have any more turncoat things going on with Theon. I think at the very beginning, you wanted all the bad things to happen to him. Remember how much of a punk he was in season 1 and 2? Just an absolute punk. And you just want to, every time you see him, you just want to, slap him and just, what is it? Slap him upside the head. And now you feel sorry for him because it's like, they kind of overdid his punishment. Like, man, they took his thing away. Ramsay took his freaking thing away and then mailed it to his sister. Poor guy. So now you get the Iron Islands going after Ramsay. Oh man. Oh man. All right. And then of course, all this hatred that everybody has toward Ramsay, they cut to Ramsay in his castle eating an apple or whatever he was eating, and Osha comes in. Osha is she was a wildling. Yeah, she was a wildling that was helping Bran and Rickon travel, and they got separated, I think. Yeah, he got separated. And now Ramsay is holding Rickon hostage, and one of the direwolves is dead, supposedly. And Osha is there, and in the little scene, she tries to kill Ramsay. And of course, Ramsay is sneakier than everybody else. He's got a hidden knife and kills Osha. I think they created that scene to establish how Ramsay is not to be trifled with. Like, he is smart enough and ruthless enough and in control of his elements enough to where you really got to watch it with him. You can't just surprise him, and you can't make him so mad that he does something stupid. He's a conniving person, but he's also ruthless and he's mad. It's almost contradictory. He's kind of a Hannibal Lecter, he's got a sharp mind, but at the same time he is nuts. So I don't know where Ramsay's. If you were Ramsay, it's like, God forbid you are never Ramsay, but what is Ramsay aiming to do? It's like he's just gonna piss everybody off in Westeros and then kind of like defend himself for the rest of his life. It's like, dude, does the dude just? And then you know, for entertainment, he kills people and tortures people. What the hell? Okay, so, but lest we not cast aspersions, I have no idea what that means. Back to Castle Black. So that's when Brienne gets the little lovey-dovey eye by Tormund Giantsbane, the red-bearded wildling big guy, and it's kind of cool. One of the Jon Snow's good buddy, I didn't write his name down, it makes that face like, so that's what's going on. Okay, all right, that's fine. You know, it's like, okay, this the wildling likes the giant lady. All right, I'm cool with that. It's cute. It's cute. It's a good moment, especially after how terrible Osha died, with Ramsay, to cut to that scene, where okay, now it's kind of Castle Black is actually kind of as normal as you can get Castle Black to be, and freaking the Night's Watch are eating with the wildling, so. And then that's when Jon Snow gets his letter from Ramsay. Pretty much, Ramsay wants to do everything nasty and terrible and hateful and brutal and bloody to every person that Jon Snow knows, including his sister Sansa. Wow, that was. I keep thinking that they just up the ante in terms of how much can we make the viewers hate Ramsay Bolton even more in this episode. No, okay, he's gonna set the hounds to kill and eat the a mother and her child, her newborn. He's gonna let the dogs eat them. Okay, wow, that's the most terrible thing a person can ever do. Oh, no, it isn't. He does this too. Oh, that's the worst thing a person can do. Oh, no, it isn't. Like, he's going to use spoons to gouge out Jon Snow's eyes. Okay. So, I wonder how the Game of Thrones showrunners or the crew, cast and crew, and the writers are going to set it up so that we the viewers are at our perfect tense moment when we will absolutely need Ramsay Bolton to die and be able to watch it. You know, that sense of satisfaction. Yes, if they do it too early, it won't be as satisfying. If they do it too late, then we might just get sick of waiting. So they need to time it, and I wonder how they're going to go about it. So far, they're just doing everything right, especially in season 6. Are we in season 6 already? Holy crap! Okay. So, and of course, here's the moment. The moment Daenerys faces the what are those guys? The idiots. The Doshkaline Temple. All the men in Doshkaline Temple, and if you watch it, it's almost not worth talking about. And that actually took me by surprise. And I was talking to, I'm going to reference back to Jose, my buddy. And we were talking about this because he only saw the first half of the episode when I talked to him. And I watched the whole thing. And so he saw Daenerys in the Dothraki camp. And Jose tells me, it's like, I'm just waiting for her dragons to come and rescue her. Like he's gonna have fire coming down from above, and it's gonna be, if that happens, it'll be amazing. And I couldn't say anything to Jose at that time. I was like, oh my god, it's like if you only knew what I already know, and I can't even hint at it. I couldn't even tell him anything how it's gonna happen. So I just said, no, you just got to go watch it. Go watch it as soon as possible because I'm going to pop if I don't, we don't talk about this. And so today he messaged me and is like, yeah, I saw it. It's like, oh my god. Okay, so another thing for us to talk about later on. But basically, Daenerys, she didn't need no damn dragons. Like, why did we not see it coming? Or maybe some of us did, or maybe I'm the only one that didn't see it coming. But she basically burned the house down, and because she doesn't get burned, she just comes out. She's back to her naked self. All her clothes got burned off, and the cool part is, she basically killed all the oppressors of the Dothraki village. Now, keep in mind the whatever they're called. That village is full of the widows of dead Khals. All the warriors, right? It's their widows live in that village, and the widows can never leave that freaking village for some stupid reason, right? And so basically you got the people, the women in that village already don't like the men in that village, the Khals, and in one moment that I don't know how long it lasted, the fire lasted, Daenerys took care of that by herself, by pushing a whole bunch of torches, and it totally makes sense. And I don't know what else to say about that. That's just so badass. I forgot her name, the actress. It's like she's just like this tiny actress, and I think they picked the absolute perfect actress to be basically the most powerful person in Game of Thrones to be doing this stuff, and she didn't even need the dragon. So a very, very satisfying ending. She walks out, the burning building is behind her. She basically walks through the flames, and everybody in the village kneels down and basically proclaims her the leader. And all of a sudden, guess what? You got Tyrion back at Marine trying to recruit troops and make people happy so that they'll keep their army, and Daenerys is over there and she just got a whole bunch of new army, which is cool. So she's gonna be walking back. You got this, what's the reverse of Exodus? She's gonna be walking back with this army of people. Maybe she'll walk them back to Marine, and that's where they're gonna stay. So let's see what happens. By the way, I haven't read any of the books. And from what I've heard, the books, the TV show has pretty much strayed away from the books now, so it doesn't even matter whether you read the books or not. So, okay, all right. So that's the Game of Thrones. I'm at about 43 minutes. All right. So the next, we got that out of the way. Game of Thrones. So the next thing is the Star Wars Rogue One leaked photos and character names. I'm not going to talk about it here. It's pretty good, but it's kind of still up in the air whether it's those are the actual final names of the characters. So I've added a link to the podcast. Go to thedailynight.net, thedailynight with a K.net, and you'll see it. I have the links to everything I talked about here. So Star Wars Rogue One leaked photos and character names. It's cool. It's pretty cool, and the consensus is the names sound cool, and the ships look cool, and they're very Star Warsy, and it feels familiar but fresh. I want to talk about Rogue One more later on, the more information we get, but we're still far away. It's going to be in December. It's May right now, so we're gonna have the Geek Fest again, the Star Wars Geek Fest, starting about around November, or maybe even we had the Star Wars Geek Fest, the Force Awakens Geek Fest, starting in April last year. So maybe, we're actually behind, aren't we? Haha. No, I think we're gonna start the Geek Fest. I'm hoping no earlier than after Doctor Strange, because I kind of want to enjoy Doctor Strange and Marvel movie, and then after that, focus on the Rogue One. But Star Wars owns us, and Disney owns Star Wars, so Disney owns us. It doesn't matter. Give them your money. So Rogue One leak photos. The link is on my website. This website, by the way, the article is on makingstarwars.net, makingstarwars.net, and that there's another link that is on makingstarwars.net that I'll be talking about later. So, okay, second news is let me just get this over with. Geoff Johns will co-run DC films for Warner Brothers after Batman vs. Superman Backlash. Basically, I don't know how many changes they've done since Batman v Superman came out. Ben Affleck is now the executive producer, and the Aquaman director dropped out, and they're looking for an Aquaman director, and Civil War within a month has made more money, or within 10 days has made more money than Batman v Superman has done in like 3 months. Blah blah blah. DC fanboys hating Marvel fanboys, and everybody's trash talking each other, and I'm kind of getting tired of it. I'm mentioning this because it is news, and here's my 2 cents on it. I really hope I'm wrong, because I just want a good set of DC movies. I miss the quality and the definitiveness of the Christopher Nolan Batman movies. That was the last time we really got some top quality DC anything. Let me see, when does the Watchmen came out around that time? I like the Watchmen. Superman, the Man of Steel, I kind of liked it, but it wasn't up to the quality of especially the Dark Knight. Pretty much one of easily the top 5 best superhero movies ever, and Batman Begins, which basically finally gave us the Batman Year One, David Mazzucchelli, Klaus Janson, Frank Miller Batman, Dark Knight Returns Batman, that we've been waiting for I don't know how long, right? We finally got that Batman, and a whole new style of movie making, and I wonder how much the Netflix Daredevil series was influenced by Batman Begins, because look at the Daredevil, one of the first fight scenes in Daredevil season 1 was in a dock with containers. Exact same thing as in Batman Begins, a dock with containers. So, where was I? Went off on a tangent. So, yeah, Geoff Johns of the co-run DC films. One of my wishes is I just want to talk about how good the DC films are. I don't want to talk about the drama that's happening behind the scenes, of how much of a mess it is with personnel changes and whatever changes. And it's like, just give us a good film. Let us make it such a good film that all we do is talk about how awesome the film is. Whatever film. Justice League 1 or The Batman with Ben Affleck. He's calling the shots on that one. I want to be able to talk about a DC movie like I talk about Marvel Civil War, Captain America Civil War, or the way I talk about Deadpool, where I don't care what's going on behind the scenes, because there's so many other interesting things to talk about on the screen that you're watching. And it's not just explosions. It's actually, funny dialogue, insightful. There's a maturity to it. There is a logic to it. And it makes for a good movie, not just a superhero movie. I just want that from DC. I want, Christopher Nolan combined with, I guess, more action, more believable fight scenes. Because I remember when I first saw the Christopher Nolan Batman movies, at that moment, since we really didn't get that many other superhero movies with amazing fight scenes, I thought that was the best that Batman could do in a Batman movie, the fighting. And then we saw a little bit of it in Batman v Superman with Ben Affleck's Batman, just bringing the whoop ass to the second floor bad guys. Just the hand-to-hand combat. I didn't care much for the car chase that didn't make sense, or all the killing, but just the way he just beat down that whole floor of men, that action sequence, the way that fight was choreographed, and how powerful Batman looked, rivals the best superhero action sequences I've ever seen. Hand-to-hand combat stuff. So, but that was like what, 10 minutes, 5 minutes of a 2.5 hour movie. It's like, that's not enough. I want to hear Ben Affleck talk like he talked in The Town, or in Argo, or even in Good Will Hunting. That kind of rich dialogue. Come on, the guy has 2 Academy Awards. He can bring it. It just the script has to be there for him, and the story has to be there to really get the best out of Ben Affleck. So I adjusted my mic, and I adjusted it wrong, so I'm readjusting it back. Okay. Another one, I kind of put this in the middle of everything because it's kind of a downer. Chloe Bennet of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. She's Sky, Daisy, Quake, whatever you want to call her. Says Marvel doesn't care enough about its Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show. I think she's frustrated, understandably so. Okay, I can understand. Yeah, she's frustrated because the Marvel MCU movies don't even mention any of the characters in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., even though they're part of the same universe. But at the same time, the show isn't that good. And the lead person on that show is Chloe Bennet, and I don't think she's experienced enough to be the point person, the point man for the show. She is basically the figurehead of this show. It's not Coulson anymore, because Coulson does not have any superpowers. He's got a robotic hand that can do stuff. But I think Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. needs a stronger number one superhero. Because Chloe Bennet is just my opinion. It's out of all the Marvel stories, including Netflix, including the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is the most soap opera style, even more than Agent Carter, which just got canceled. Yeah, I hope it comes back. But every episode, Chloe Bennet is, she's got the love triangle, right, with Grant Ward and I forgot the guy who sacrificed his life for something. And okay, yeah, it's like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. What? They were kind of running in circles for like how many, 3-4 seasons. But you know what? I wonder if they're just not getting the support. They're not getting the best script writers that you could get for a TV show. They're not getting enough funding so that you don't have to. You can actually afford some fight scenes and special effects and CGI during a 1 hour show instead of like not having any money for it. So they gotta like have more talky moments, and it feels like they're just talking way too much. And I think they don't have the budget not to keep talking. So I think that's why Chloe Bennet is frustrated. I don't know. Basically, the way I see it, I've never met any of these people, so I assume she's a nice person. But she's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is not on par with the Marvel Cinematic Universe or the Netflix TV shows, or even Agent Carter. So I'm sorry, but I only have so many hours in a week to watch TV or movies, and I watched every show of the first 2 seasons of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and I've basically given up on it. I still DVR it, and then I watch the first 10 minutes, and if the first 10 minutes don't interest me, I just erase it from my DVR. So I feel bad because Agent Coulson is he's one of my favorite characters. So it'd be nice if maybe he shows up back in the MCU. So okay. On the other hand, CW's The Flash, Grant Gustin, The Flash, the best superhero TV show, wait for it, that I've ever seen. They're in season 2, I think, right? And they're doing everything right. And I'm not saying 100%, maybe like 98%, but with a TV show with a limited budget, they're just kicking butt. Especially, in my opinion, I've heard other people say that they didn't like this episode so much, but in my opinion, the Speed Force episode that was directed by Kevin Smith, that was 2 episodes ago. The Runaway Dinosaur, again, wonderful a metaphor, is the book that Barry Allen's mom reads. That episode was another. They took it to another level. Just watch it. It's on demand. I think if you have Amazon Prime, or you can easily find the show. I think if you have cable TV, you can find it on demand. Before they erase it, or they're not on the on demand anymore. If you just happen to miss the Runaway Dinosaur episode of the CW's The Flash, go watch it. It does help if you have seen the other Flash episodes, because it puts everything more in context. You'll understand more of what's happening. But even the last 2 episodes, the Runaway Dinosaur and Invincible, and I love the way in the first season, Barry Allen, even after he got the Flash powers, the speed powers, he was still in doubt about how awesome he is, right? The second season, especially during the Runaway Dinosaur, he got his confidence. And the nice thing is, I love the way they took care of that issue early on. Second season took care of it. Okay, now he's got confidence. He's not in doubt anymore. He doesn't think he's at the mercy of unknown forces. And Barry Allen, the Flash, thinks that he is as good or even better than Zoom. So that's awesome. That it's you have a new, fresh Flash now, and now we can have some new episodes where you got a different attitude. Barry Allen, fun, and if you haven't seen it, I'm not going to spoil the ending of the latest episode, but it's also cool, and some people actually predicted it. So, just go watch The Flash. If you're not already watching The Flash, I suggest you watch it. It's easily the best CW show. It's the best, in my opinion, the best superhero TV show. I think maybe ever. I'm not including animated series, just live action stuff, and it actually rivals a lot of the superhero movies that have been made from both DC and Marvel and whoever else. I think the CW, the Flash TV series, can compete with a lot of these middle budget superhero movies. So and all the little itty bitty news is itty bitty. I don't know, if you follow Supergirl, it's huge news, because Supergirl is now been added to the CW lineup. So I wonder if Supergirl is now going to be from 8 to 9 on a Tuesday. And no, you know what they're going to do? Flash is going to be on Tuesday from 8 to 9. Arrow is going to be on Wednesday 8 to 9, and probably Supergirl is going to be on Thursday 8 to 9, or probably actually even more Monday 8 to 9. So Monday Supergirl, Tuesday Flash, Wednesday Green Arrow. So that's kind of cool. I kind of wish Supergirl was like you have this 2-hour block on Tuesday with the Flash, starting with Supergirl from 8 to 9, and then the Flash from 9 to 10, because I think it kind of, the Supergirl is a good intro, kind of a lighthearted, PG rated, even G rated TV show that will lead to the PG-13 level Flash episodes. But I think they're gonna keep Supergirl on Monday. So hopefully, if they can have the same quality now that Supergirl's on the CW network that they are putting into the Flash TV show, I'm totally going to watch Supergirl again. So I kind of gave up on it because it kind of became too soap opera level. And maybe CW will revive it and add more meat to it, So, all right. We've been waiting for this for the whole episode, especially since if you're a Star Wars geek, you may not even want to know this information until you actually go see the movie in a year and a half. But I will talk about what I've heard and read about today. So if you don't want to hear about it, I almost recommend you don't hear about it. Like turn the podcast off right now, and come back. Re-listen to this. A year and a half from now, if you can find it. But I'm going to talk about the Star Wars Episode 8 spoilers. And so I'm going to give you like 5 more seconds while I go look for the article. And there it is. Okay, you've been warned. So Star Wars Episode 8, I'm kind of just going to read you the article. The title of this web page is Star Wars Episode 8 and the Knights of Ren. So in a nutshell, if you don't want to read the article, I'm just going to give you a synopsis of it. Basically, it talks about a fight scene on either the Skellig Michael Island that we saw at the end of Force Awakens, or another one of the islands, or like a Jedi temple where Luke and Rey are at. And supposedly it happens at night, and Kylo Ren comes in and brings his Knights of Ren with him. So you got a gang. I'm whispering because just in case, you don't want everybody in the world to hear about this. I'm not going to whisper. That's stupid. So basically, the Kylo Ren brings the Knights of Ren, and they're going to have a brawl with Luke and Rey. And so supposedly the scene is going to be Kylo Ren takes on Rey one-on-one, and then the rest of the Knights of Ren take on Luke. And basically, Luke wipes the floor with them. Force power, the first Knight of Ren charges Luke with an axe, or the axe saber, or whatever, laser axe. And Luke just kind of dismisses him. Force pushes him to his death. Boom, goodbye, bye-bye. And then Luke turns on his lightsaber, his green lightsaber, the same one he has in Return of the Jedi, and he basically takes care of the Knights of Ren one by one by one by one by one. God knows what kind of technique Luke's going to use. So supposedly Luke is dressed in black this time, or dark gray. He's not dressed the same as he is at the end of Force Awakens. So while Luke is doing his thing, I don't know how long that will last. Kylo Ren and Rey are fighting each other, and they're scaling up a mountain, fighting, going up higher and higher. And supposedly Rey falls off the edge of a cliff or just disappears, but it looks like she's fine. She's hanging onto a ledge or something. And Luke, after he's done with the Knights of Ren, wait, did he kill the Knights of Ren? That means Luke is just going to get rid of the Knights of Ren in one scene. Like, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Damn, that's badass. So after that, Luke goes after Kylo Ren, and Kylo Ren kind of scurries away. Like, I don't want to fight you. And he kind of disappears now. That's according to the rumor. But there's another scene supposedly where Kylo Ren is walking through the Jedi village looking for Luke and Rey. So I don't know how that's going to pan out. Just the fact that you have to wait a year and a half for this, it's like I almost want to forget this. But it's, now that you've heard me say it, I think you owe it to yourself to go to the article. I have a link on the website. Go to the article and read for yourself the blow by blow. Literally, it's like a boxing match of what happens. And it's when I first read this, I was, I think I was out and about. I saw it on my cell phone, and I couldn't believe what I was reading. It's like, okay, I stopped reading it because I wanted to be in a quiet room with a big monitor in front of my desk, and just so I can savor it. It's like you don't want to watch a movie on your freaking cell phone. You want to go big screen TV or even a movie theater, and just so you can absorb it properly. So I wanted to absorb this article properly, so I went back to my desktop. So that's the gist of it. Should I read it? Nah, it's too many bullet points. Just go to the link, and basically what I said already is the gist of it. So, if you weren't absolutely sick of my voice after talking about Game of Thrones and all the other news, and then getting to this Luke and the Knights of Ren fight, hopefully it's still kind of excited you to hear the reveal. I didn't want to open the podcast with this story, because then it would be absolute spoiler right from the beginning. I didn't want to do that to people. So hopefully that was worth it for you. If it wasn't, I suggest just turn everything off and then come back to that article, reread it in about a week, and I think you will still get blown away by how it's written and what happens. So that's it. Where am I? I'm checking my time. Why do I always end right around 1:05? It's never an hour exactly or under an hour. It's always 5 to 6 to 7 minutes over an hour. So that's it. It's getting late. Until then, until next time, this is Gerardo San Diego. You can find me on thedailynight.net, thedailynight with a K.net, and the links to my Facebook page and to Instagram and to Twitter and whatever else I have links to. Support Making Biscuits, Cat Rescue. I have links to their website. There's an event coming up on June 4, the SoCal Brewfest. And it looks like I'm going to show up there also. I'm going to go help out just to support on site. And I'm going to bring some friends with me. It's basically you pay, what is it? You pay to eat and drink for 4 hours is the basic gist of it. Saturday, June 4 at 1 p.m., 1 to 5 p.m., and it's called SoCal Brewfest. I think it's SoCalBrewfest.com. I'll add a link to the website. And if you go there, you buy a ticket. I think it's like $45. But that's basically all the beer you can drink from, is it 30? No, I think it's 200 brewers in the local area bringing their own types of beer and stuff. So if you are a beer connoisseur, or if you just like to eat, because they're gonna have some awesome food trucks also parked. I don't know if the food is free, but yeah, you'll be supporting, whatever. If you buy a ticket, a part of the proceeds will go to support Making Biscuits Cat Rescue, and Making Biscuits will have a booth there. You can meet them. See what they do, and see what they do, so you know what the hell I'm talking about when I say I support Making Biscuits Cat Rescue. So I'll have a link to the website. Until next time, I gotta get to bed or something like that. I need some rest. But until next time, this is Gerardo San Diego, and I'll probably talk about the next Game of Thrones. It looks like it's going to be exciting again, and so hopefully I can podcast immediately after the Game of Thrones this Sunday. So until next time, may the Force be with you. Thank you very much.